Alright, so if you recall where we left off was with our Ultra Extension Framework panel open within our course, listening to all the things we asked it to listen to and doing what we asked it to do. So the last thing that we want to do is we want to set up our local storage integration. And so what this does, it allows you to pass messages through the browser from one page to another. In this case, from our Hello World page that's being rendered in this iframe to the iframe that we are running our integration JavaScript in. So let me go ahead and close this window and close this and close this, and we'll go ahead and sign out because of course we're going to need to clear our browser cache. So let's go ahead and do that. So we will clear browsing data and we'll clear it, and this will allow us to upload our new integration JavaScript, and that way we're not getting a cached version and missing out on our new functionality. So that is done, and so let's go to our favorite IDE, Visual Studio Code, and let's go ahead and check out the next bit of code. And so we are going to say git checkout for-uef-local storage. And so now we've got our new local storage, and we have our new branch, and it's pointing to our remote branch. So you can see right away that something has changed. In our Hello World here, we now have this thing called course organizations, and we're pulling it off the arguments, and then we're passing it to our Hello World. So if we look at our Hello World template, you can see a little bit of new code is in here as well. So now we have another paragraph now where we are displaying the courses or organizations value that we've received on the query parameter list. And now we've also got a new button called close panel. And so when onClick is launched from this close panel button, it launches our close panel function, which sets up a value of type portal panel close, and then adds to window local storage an item called event with this value that we've just set. So what does all this mean? Let's take a look and see what we're actually doing with this. And so the next thing that we need to look at is our integration JavaScript. And we've only added a little bit of stuff here in order to show how we can use local storage. So if we look at this section where we're being notified that the route has changed to the appropriate type of page, the course ID matches, the content ID matches. Now we are pulling this courses or organizations value off of the route data the same way that we are pulling the ID and the course ID off, and we're setting it to an item in local storage called courses or organizations. So down here, where we are rendering that data, you can see we are setting the panel URL equal to the panel URL that we set previously, but we're appending this query parameter, courses or organizations, and we're setting it equal to the courses and organizations that came across from our route data. Kind of a silly thing to do, but it shows how you can take information that was received from Ultra and pass it further along into your application. So this is where the courses or organizations is coming from. So we saw how we're pulling this off of the query parameter list. We're passing it to our Hello World, and we're displaying it on the screen. But let's take a look and see what we're now doing in order to catch that event that we created in Hello World. So we've now added a second event listener, this one called storage, and when storage is called, we call the function onEvent from iframe. So here's our new function. OnEvent from iframe, we're passing the event. We're checking the event to see if the key of that event is event, which, as we saw in the JavaScript function in Hello World, that's what we were doing. And then we're pulling the value off of that event, and we are parsing it into our message. So the next thing we do is look to see what the message type is. And if the message type is portal panel close, which is what we set it to be, we send a message to the message channel and we ask them to close our panel with the panel ID matching the panel ID that we received when we created our panel. And then we're removing the item from local storage. As far as I can tell from my testing, this is only required because of Chrome. When Chrome reads in the value up here, it leaves this event in the local storage, and so the next time I issue the same event, it actually doesn't recognize it's a new event. So we remove it here so that local storage is pristine the next time that this happens. So that is, 20 lines of code that we've added, and now we have full communication end to end from Ultra all the way through our application and all the way back to Ultra. So let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. So we'll go ahead and get our Docker build set. So Docker build -t UEF integration version 0.6 and period to say what directory our Docker file is in. And we've built it, so let's go ahead and run it. Docker run -port 5000 forward to 5000 on our host. We'll give it a name so that it's easily recognizable, and we will call it UEF tutorial 6, and then we will point it at our build image that we just built. So copy and paste, and we'll run it. And so now you can see everything's running. As usual, we will go over to our ngrok endpoint and we will command click, and you can see, yes, our Docker container is successfully being served by ngrok from our desktop. So now let's test it. So let's go back to learn, and let's go ahead and click sign in. I'll have to accept the cookie disclosure again, so we'll have to click sign in again. So let's go ahead and clear our console, and we'll sign in. And so you'll notice on the right here in our JavaScript console, all the same stuff that we're used to seeing. Our tutorial integration is connected, and so now we are going to go to our sessions, and we are going to go to our UEF course, and once we're in our course, we're going to go ahead and click that same content item to launch our panel. So here's our beautiful panel. You can see now we've gotten courses. Our organization is courses. If this was an organization, obviously this would say organization, but what this really highlights is that you can see that local storage is allowing us to pull data from the message we get from Ultra, pass it along to the rest of our application, and we're actually able to do something with it. Now let's test that close event. And so here's the button that we created. When we close this panel, when we push this button, it executes our JavaScript, sends that local storage event off to our integration, and closes the panel. And there you have it. So that is the conclusion of our tutorial. As always, feel free to ask questions if you have them. You can always reach us at developers@blackboard.com. If you're participating in the Ultra Extension Framework cohort, you can talk to us on office hours or throughout the course in the various message boards and messaging areas. But we look forward to working with you so that you can build your own Ultra Extension Framework integrations.